I can't help but feeling like I'm going insane. Give a nigga a break. Give a nigga a break. How much more can I take? Give a nigga a break.
I would also like I could use a break. I think living alone in isolation, it makes you crazy. You don't think the way that you should think, or at least in a way that's healthy. I recently spent 6 months solo traveling throughout Asia, and while I had a fantastic experience doing adventurous things, seeing beautiful sights, just having the privilege to do that was amazing in and of itself. I still found myself more often than not suffering or unhappy. And sometimes I would make friends, other travelers in the hostels or locals, and I would forget about it. But every time I had to uproot and just rip myself away from them, from any new place, whether it was a week or 2 days, I would leave a part of myself behind, and I'd arrive at the next destination and have to restart. And it was cold. It was unforgiving, to say the least. I was lonely and isolated and miserable for much of my time. And that sucks, because I was doing some really cool stuff. And so it just sucks that that's how I experienced it. And after going through that, I'm just a little more angsty about moving out and living alone. My older brother did it. Been alone for 2 years now, over 2 years. And he's still not gotten over it. It's still hard for him. It's still miserable at times. It's not healthy, man. It makes you crazy. It really does. It makes you crazy. It gets you have too much time, and you either fall into escapism, media consumption, just blotting out your mind, or you deal with it and you sit there and you listen to the crazy things that are going through your mind. Your brain telling you that there's a reason that you're alone, that there's a reason that you're unhappy. It's trying to come up with the answers of the universe like you don't know. I feel like I ruined myself doing that, spending all that time alone. I had nothing but time to myself, like endless time for 6 months straight to just think. And one thing I've realized is that thinking, overthinking, over-intellectualizing is the most miserable way you can live your life. I took every single every single part of my life that I enjoyed, and I tore it to shreds. I ripped it apart until I didn't enjoy it anymore. And to be honest, I think it all started when I stopped being religious. At some point I decided that I'd had enough of the inconsistencies in my religion, and I tore it all up. I threw it away. I decided that I wasn't going to be religious anymore. And the deconstruction process that followed, it kind of set the tone, because I started to approach every part of my life with that same level of questioning. Like, what if it's all been a lie? What if it was all a lie the whole time, just like that religion was? And while I'm glad that I left the toxicity behind, I would be lying if I said I didn't miss the comfort of at least thinking that I knew, that I understood life and the universe. And I talk to religious people now, and it's they don't grasp that I can't go back, though I'd love to. I wish I could make myself believe in a God again. I wish I could believe in all of the answers. I can't. And that goes for more than just religion. That goes for philosophies, for worldviews. I read The Stranger, and at first I was like, wow, this is so good. This man is learning he accepts the absurdity of his life, and he's learning how to live regardless of his life's seeming worthlessness. That's so amazing. That's beautiful. It's like Camus' Rebellion. It's so poetic. And then I really sat there and I thought about it and I stirred with it. And then I decided, you know what? That's still not good enough. So what is good enough? I don't know what's good enough for me. Literally no idea. It's not even just that. There's way more. I convinced myself that I don't want to start a family anymore, because of the moral implications. Like I'm a borderline anti-natalist, because I'm like, how can I bring somebody into the world against their will? I hated that when that happened to me. How could I willingly bring someone into the world knowing that they'll probably end up like me? Experience the same thing that I experienced, which so far has been overwhelmingly negative. Or at least that's the way it feels, because of the way that I've created this abstraction in my mind, this perceived reality where I feel like I know everything, I've worked everything out, and there's nothing that could work. I've torn every single thing down. Every foundation that I once stood on, I burned. And now I have nothing. And I wish I didn't do that. I really wish I didn't do that. So what do I do now? I don't have any copes left. I have no copes left. And well, the only thing I'm hanging on to now is this lingering feeling of familiarity that I get from living with my family. That's the only thing that I haven't ripped to shreds yet. And so when that's gone, and I have no copes left, I'm worried. I'm worried about where I will go, what I will do with that information. Yeah, man. Here's the thing. I don't plan on giving up, obviously. That's not in the cards for me. I'm going to keep trying to make this whole thing work because you only get one shot. And I'm going to keep coming up with new copes. And I'm going to do my best not to destroy these ones or think about them too hard, because what I've realized is the best things in life, the things that make life the easiest, are the ones you don't think about. Because if you think about them too much, you realize you shouldn't have done that. If you think about it too much, you take away all the magic. You know, it's like those people who see a cool magic trick and their first response is to exclaim loudly that they know how the trick was done and that it didn't fool them. Like, shut the fuck up and watch the magic show, man. That's how I feel. I'm that guy right now. I need to shut the fuck up. Yeah, but like I said, I'm not giving up. I couldn't do that even if I tried. I'm too much of a pussy. I lose hope a lot of the time. I lose hope and I get to overthink it and I start imagining my life in the most miserable way possible. I start creating this future in my mind and I think about that future so much, this miserable future where I'm alone and I have no friends and nobody loves me, blah, 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 and I'm a loser. You know, I just fixate on that so hard that it becomes my reality to an extent. You know, to an extent, it you know, you are what you think, you are what you eat, and I eat that a lot. God, I eat that a lot because it's addictive, man. It really is. Like sadness and those strong ass emotions. That shit is addictive, man. Like I remember when I was really depressed back in like high school, the high that I would get from just smothering myself in these negative emotions, it was strong, man. It still is strong. It gets me sometimes. I'll be scrolling TikTok, which I shouldn't do. I just made a whole video about how escapism and overconsumption is bad for you. But man, I'll be scrolling TikTok and all of a sudden I'll get this sad ass video hit my feed talking about like, man, I'm such a failure. And it'll be some dude just like yapping. And I'm like, damn, bro. And then all I want is more. I just want to, I start searching for it. I start scrolling and, you know, the only thing that hits as hard is another video like that, you know, a depressed ass video with some sad fucking Sign Crushes Motorist song in the background. As hopeless as I am at times, it is motivating, right? It's a fire under my ass because there are ways to get around that, you know, like it's not like it's impossible to have a good life in this generation, you know. It's stacked against you. You know, there's less people your age. Everybody's inside on their phones all the time. There's no third places or whatever you want to call it. Sure, it is stacked against you. I'm not going to deny that. But if you can count the cards, if you can manipulate the deck in any way, then it's possible. Obviously, it would help to have a ton of money. You know, because if you can make a bunch of money, you can move to a big city, man. You can move to a young neighborhood in a big city, and you can take public transit and meet people at coffee shops and bump into random strangers on the street. And, you know, or you can afford to work less. You can spend more time socializing and fulfilling your social needs. Time that you wouldn't have otherwise. Circling back around to that trip that I took, I remember there was one time I was a few weeks in. I was in Japan, which if you don't know, it's a pretty isolating country. People don't really interact a lot there. It's much more stay in your lane type of country. But I was in a hostel. I was maybe a week or two in, and it was really starting to catch up to me because at this point I had no idea how long I was going to be traveling for. I'd just been kicked out of my house and like I felt worthless. I was just moving from place to place, absolutely no plans, and just kind of drifting through my days. It was bad. And I get to this hostel in Kyoto. You know, I spent the first couple of hours I opened my computer and I just pretended to be doing something in the lobby just so that I could like be around people. But I was too scared to talk to anyone, obviously. Come on now. And I saw all these people, you know, just seemingly connecting so effortlessly around me. And I was like, fuck, man, like, why do I suck at this? And then my brain starts going crazy and it starts telling me, yeah, you're alone and you're a loser because it's your own fault and you suck at socializing. And everybody hates you, by the way. If you didn't know, everyone hates your guts. But, yeah, I spent a couple hours, probably fucking cried. I don't remember. But what I do remember about that day is that a few hours later, it completely turned around. And I met some of my best friends from that trip, like people that I would go on to reconnect with. And then like these guys have been my friends since. I met up with them again multiple times throughout the trip, which was really cool. So yeah, I get in my head, I get scared, and then I really start to think about it, and I don't know, it'll be hard. It's gonna be really hard. It's definitely gonna be harder than it should be, but I don't think it's impossible. New video tomorrow though, comment some stuff, you know, if you relate to this, or if you want me to talk about anything else. Yeah, with that being said, man, that's it. That's all I got.